Hi, I'm Wayne Tuttle, and this is Chasing Legends. Welcome back, Chasing Legends. I'm Wayne Tuttle, your host once again. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Check out our website, www.legendssuperstitionmountains.com. Getting into this week, we wanted to do something a little different, a special presentation of sorts. This past weekend, Trevor, myself, and Greg Davis of the Historical Society, one of the founding members of the museum, attended down at the Pioneer Cemetery in downtown Phoenix a dedication for a new monument for Jacob Waltz's grave. There was a small monument there, and the Dons of Arizona, actually back in 1936, I believe, wanted to replace that monument and went to the city of Phoenix and the Pioneer Cemetery and tried to get some ideas. It took all this time before they got it done, which was kind of funny. But representing the Dons were myself, Trevor, and Greg, and a number of other people. It was a really nice ceremony, but we wanted to present the ceremony and some of the guest speakers, the dedication. One group we met and had actually a pretty good time with was the Lost Dutchman Motorcycle Club. Great bunch of gentlemen. We had a really good time. We got some commemorative coins from them for the event. But that being said, let's take you away to this past Saturday morning down at the Pioneer Cemetery in downtown Phoenix for the dedication of the monument at Jacob Waltz's grave.
I'm the chair of the Jacob Waltz committee, and the rest of the committee are here. Mark Lamb, Vivia, Leslie is not here, and I do not believe Sterling is here. I haven't seen him yet. But our team has been a very, very hardworking team for like 3 years, fundraising and just putting together everything. And so this is a great team here. I also want to introduce that we have the Masons here, we have the Dons here, we have DAR here, and we have the Lost Dutchman Motorcycle Club from various areas. So
Dutchman forever.
Yeah, forever and ever. I mean, he's here now in Granite, so this is great. So thank you all for coming. The lineup for this morning, there is a little program and the little agenda. I'm just your MC. Mark is going to do all the thank yous to all the contributors, to the artists, to everybody. Steve Schumacher is a historian for the city of Phoenix, talking about the city of Phoenix and development at this time in the area. And Vivia is the former National Register coordinator for the area, and this is a National Register site, so we are very well represented here. And then we are going to have the ribbon cutting. So after the event, we do have a couple of books available in the house. If you want more information, they'll be for sale. Say that again?
No beer?
No beer, but there will be water. There is water, so at least we have water.
No maps to the Lost Dutchman Mine?
Huh?
No maps to the Lost Dutchman Mine?
Oh no maps. But I think there are little walking there's a couple little walking tour maps, but and then after the event, you can walk the cemetery, go through the Smurthwaite house, get a couple tours, and just enjoy being here in this wonderful, wonderful day. So with that, I'm going to let Mark take over for now, and go from there. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to introduce Patty Galt. She's our president. Just so you know, she's helped with everything and very involved. Ex-police officer. So, real neat. I've been looking at the Jacob Waltz gravesite for 41 years. As a City of Phoenix employee and also Pioneer Cemetery volunteer once I retired. So it's very special to me. I know it's special to many people here too. I've always hoped at the gravesite that we would do gravesite improvements. And I know you guys can see the improvements that we've done because, you know, this is one of the state of Arizona's most famous miners and pioneers. And we need to tell the story of the Lost Dutchman gold mine. It's really important to keep that history going. He lived right down the street over here on 12th Street and just 12th Street over here in Buckeye, just north. He had 166 acres he had, so one time. For the Jacob Waltz really notoriety started on June 13th, 1895 with a newspaper article in the San Francisco Chronicle regarding the Superstition Mountains and the Lost Dutchman gold mine that would become, and still is, known worldwide. And that's true. We've got people coming from all over the world to see him, the gravesite here. For this project to happen, it took people and resources. The Don's Club has always been involved with Jacob Waltz, keeping that legend alive. And they proposed a similar monument to the one we have here in 1936. 89 years later, we have it. They proposed a city council, and it just didn't happen at that time. But they did want to do that. Now, this wasn't owned by the City of Phoenix at that time, so the City of Phoenix was not involved that much at that time. Pioneer Cemetery Association would like to acknowledge those who did the following work to make this happen. And the number one partner with us is the City of Phoenix Parks and Recreation Department South Division. And what they did was they transported and placed all the boulders out here. They spread 23 tons of granite. They lined the pathways here with the larger river rock that we have here, and they put the brick and concrete in there. So we did that. Eastern Foundry, which is located right down the street here, they did the bronze plaque. Paul Olson from Artistic Sandblasting and Engraving did the beautiful Jacob Waltz monument, and Paul purchased it for us. And the granite stone helped design and engrave and install the monument. So I don't think Paul's here, is he? I invited him. Okay. Parks and Recreation people were Joe Diaz, Juan Rodriguez, Marcelino Garcia, Tim Brentenstein, Joe Medina, and Nancy Perez. That's Parks foreman and administrative staff who approved the projects from Parks. The Lost Dutchman Motorcycle Club, we'd like to appreciate them and thank them for their past support, the PCA, and the first ones to donate. They made a donation over 5 years ago for this project. So they were the first ones that started this out. Thought that we needed to do some improvements, and we did. And it's also a special place for new members. And it's an important grave site for them. Ed Dobbins also, he did a lot of the historical research and the photos, and some are on the board over there. I'm almost done. The memorial donations received were from the Agua Fria DAR, Alexander family, Mark Broadley, Bob Cox, Grand Canyon DAR, Paul Kaiser, Garrett King, Sally McCutcheon, Paradise Valley DAR, Pioneer Cemetery Association, Phoenix Genealogical Society, Piestewa Peak DAR, Vivian Strang, Jim Tang, Karen Zeppenfeld, the Masons, and the Lamb family. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Steve Schumacher. I have the privilege of being the mayor's office official historian. And as Mayor Gallego likes to say, I am the inaugural one. So I'm the first, the only so far. And one of these days will have to replace me as I join Jacob being horizontal. I got to tell you, this morning when I woke up, I live in Chandler. Don't tell anybody that the Phoenix historian lives in Chandler, okay? But when I woke up this morning, it was 38 degrees, and I went out to my car and I thought, wow, I bought this car a little over a year ago, and one of the things the salesperson was hyping about it was the car seat heater, and I thought, I'll never use that thing. Well, guess whose rear end is fairly warm right now? You know, I was asked to just spend a few minutes talking about what was going on in Phoenix during Jacob Waltz's days here, and I thought, well, I can just pick a couple. And then all of a sudden I realized he saw so many firsts in about the 20 plus years that he was here that I had to make a list, and I had to write them down. Now keep in mind that when Jacob Waltz first came into the valley, there was a lot of contention and ill feelings about where the Phoenix town site was going to be. And the original town site as we know it today was actually the fourth choice of where Phoenix was going to begin. So there, a number of the pioneers, there was ill feelings. I mean, Jack Swilling himself, the fact that his location wasn't chosen drove him up to Black Canyon City. So that was part of the atmosphere within Phoenix. There was quite a bit of contention among some of the pioneers. So there was a little bit of hard feelings. One of the questions that comes up today, and I'm sure it did then, was it cooler back then? You know, was it actually, because people say, oh, the nights were cooler, the days were not as hot. Well, let me read you a little quote. If a man moves his toes, it will be covered with perspiration. He must not wink more than once in 15 minutes. In 1 hour, it begins to grow warm, hot, scorching, heating, red hot, no, white hot. Don't joke with another man. A good laugh in the middle of the day will overheat a man's blood and cause his death. The thermometer says 108 in the shade and 150 in the sun. Now this was a quote from 1878 by one of our other residents here, George Loring. So you can answer that question yourself. Is it hotter now or is it white hot like it was then? Now, just from a population standpoint, when Jacob first came into the valley, there's really only about 250 people here. But about 10 years later, just to give you a perspective on the growth of Phoenix, and Phoenix has always been a growing community. You can call it sprawl, whatever you want to call it, but the reality is the population has grown ever since day one. So in 1870, there was about 240 people here. Just 10 years later, in 1880, there was about 2,500. So just the population, the raw numbers, increased tenfold in 10 years. And then 20 years later, in 1890, there was 3,200. So the growth it kind of flattened a little bit. But between the time Jacob first came into the valley to 20 years later, there was 13 times more people. So imagine coming into the town site from 12th Street and Buckeye and watching just the numbers of people and wagons and horses. So in the early years when he was first here, if you can just kind of time travel with me and think about Jacob coming into town, what the town site was, what were some of the things that he would have seen. Well, one of the things he would have seen is he would have seen William Hancock with his survey transit doing the first survey in 1870, which ended up being 320 acres, and it was divided into 96 different blocks. He would have seen the town ditch meandering through town, primarily right along Van Buren. He would have seen the first schoolhouse being built, about where the Hotel San Carlos is. He would have seen a lot of saloons, a brewery, and the very first flour mill was right downtown. So those are some of the early things that he would have seen. coming into town in the first few years he was living here. In the middle years, Phoenix was really quite the melting pot. Now remember, it had grown from 240 to about 2,500 in that first 10 years. So there was obviously a lot of German nationality folks, British people, Daryl Dupa being one, a lot of people from the South, several Canadians, and there was also a number of people from the Northeast. George Loring was from Boston in particular. One of the things he would have seen up until the late 1870s, early 1880s, Phoenix was an adobe town. And then around 1878-79, the first brick factory was put together. So he would have seen the first buildings being built out of bricks as opposed to adobe. He would have also seen the first brick building built, which was at 2nd Street and Jefferson, which actually, as time went on, it morphed into what we now know today as Tanner Chapel. Town Plaza, where Fry's grocery store is today, was used for entertainment and speakers and just a walk. It was more of a park than anything. Would have seen the first churches, St. Mary's being about the third one. Phoenix was incorporated in 1881, so you would have seen all of a sudden people who had to pay some taxes and some elected officials. He would have also been able to read the very first newspaper in Phoenix, which was the Salt River Valley Herald. Now in his final years here, and Julia Thomas obviously played a key role in Jacob Waltz's life, she actually lived right about 2nd Avenue and Jackson. So that's where he would have gone if he was going to see her or talk to her. He would have seen the first City Hall being built at about 2nd Street in Washington. He also seen the county courthouse built where the city-county building is today. He would have seen the beginnings of the Phoenix Volunteer Fire Department, because in 1885 and 1886 there were two major fires that burned every single building between 1st and 2nd Street along Washington. He would have seen the first streetcar come to about 7th Avenue in Washington in 1887. I like to say he would have seen Steineger's built, because he was a friend of Alexander Steineger as well. He would have also seen the Fry building being built in 1885 after the fire, and the Fry building is still standing, by the way, at 2nd Street in Washington. You may know it more by Marley's Sports Bar. He would have seen the first train from Maricopa come into town, and unfortunately that somebody didn't put together a roundhouse, so that same train had to go backwards all the way back to Maricopa. He would have seen the insane asylum being won in a contest with Tucson, and it provided a lot of jobs. He would have also seen the advent of electricity and the first waterworks in town as well, out about 9th Street in Van Buren. The huge Arizona Canal by W.J. Murphy, you would have seen that, maybe have been involved in even digging some of it. And he would have also seen that Phoenix became the capital of Arizona in 1889. Now, Phoenix in Waltz's early days was a desert when he first got here, with mesquite trees, sagebrush, and greasewood. By the time he died, it had electricity, over 3,000 people, and was the capital of Arizona. Carl Hayden talked about when he was a boy, he remembered seeing Apache fires up in the Papagos, and he also saw a 747 land at Sky Harbor. Jacob Waltz had pretty much a lot of the same experiences with seeing a lot of new things in Phoenix. He obviously is known for his stories of gold and fortune. I like to think that he also took with him a lot of stories about the beginnings of our city. So thank you, Jacob Waltz, for being part of that beginnings of what we know as Phoenix today. Thank you.
And they especially do not know where the Lost Dutchman Mine is located. And so that mystery lives on and the legend lives on. And you know, Jacob Waltz's grave is the most visited grave in this cemetery. We have lots of people come. We have one woman who comes every year and sits out here by his grave for hours at a time, hoping maybe that he will convey where the mine is to her. I don't think it's happened yet. So his grave holds the secret, and the mighty superstition keeps the Dutchman's yellow gold. And so with that, I'm going to ask a few people to come up, and we're going to dedicate this memorial to the legend of Jacob Waltz and the Lost Dutchman Mine. Steve, that includes you. I'm going to ask you all, Margie, Patty, come on.
Oh, over there. Okay.
Yeah. Take hold of the ribbon that runs across there.